Hello everyone, welcome to today's live class. My name is Eden. I give the live classes every Thursday, 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time. So welcome, it's been a while. Welcome Rajesh, welcome Shailendra, welcome Simran. Namaste Vikash. Hi Simran, welcome. How are you? I'm good. Hi Shneha, welcome. Yes, I hope you all had a good day today, or if it's the morning for you, hope it's a good start to the day. Welcome Edgar Perez. Perez, is that a Spanish name? Are you joining from anywhere in South America? Let me know where you're joining from. If you're a pro member, join in the Zoom room. So Shneha, Shailendra, Manisha, and join in the Zoom room. Anju is joining. Welcome Natesh, welcome Shailendra. You can join in the Zoom room. Welcome everyone. Hi, Anju. Good evening, Shailendra. How are you?
Ma'am, I am okay, but I am
Hello, ma'am.
angry with you.
Hi, Anju. What did you say, Shailendra?
Ma'am, I am angry with you.
Why are you angry?
Ma'am, you did not take class, ma'am, last week.
Yes, I was too ill to take it. Unfortunately. I'm better today, but unfortunately had a very bad neighbors last night playing very loud music all the way through the night. So still very sleepy today. And how are you, Shailendra?
Is it because of football World Cup?
Why they were loud last night?
Yeah.
No, they were just having a party and just playing very, very loud music. Club music. It was ridiculous. It was very, very loud. So it was kind of like trying to sleep in a club. Very difficult. Yeah. And they were playing it through the night. I think they were just being selfish for no other reason. They're just having a party.
So,
and how are you?
Is there no provision to call police to shut them off?
I wanted to. I think some other people did, but the problem is in South Africa, you can. It's just the police are usually very busy at night, dealing with lots of other things. So I didn't want to call them in case they were dealing with other more serious things. But yeah, if they do it again, I definitely will. Yeah, not very good. But how are you, Shailendra? It's been a while.
Ma'am, I'm all right. And like always, ma'am, I wait for your class every week because, ma'am, you have now we meet only once in a week, ma'am.
Yeah, well, hopefully maybe from the start of next year, I'll be able to take another webinar. We'll see.
Yeah, and ma'am, congratulations for England's win over Wales.
I didn't even know.
World Cup, football World Cup.
Have you been watching the World Cup?
No, ma'am, I'm not watching, but I listen news related to World Cup.
I've seen a few matches, clips of a few matches, but that was the one I didn't see. But thank you.
There is a lots of politics and going on along with the World Cup.
Also. Yeah, that's true. Very controversial year. Has anyone else been watching the World Cup, watching games? Now that Shailendra brought it up, has anyone been watching? Hi Yash, welcome. Good evening, Prashant. Good evening, Virtue. If anyone's new, hi Divya. Welcome back. If anyone has any questions, please know. Hi Anju. How are you?
Hello, miss. I'm first in your class.
Welcome.
I'm in your class.
Welcome. So is this your first live class?
Yeah. No, this first time I'm attending your class.
Okay, I see. Welcome, Andrew. So how are you and where are you joining from?
I'm from Kerala and I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, that's great. So did you have a nice day today? What did you do?
Yeah,
Work? Do you
nice.
Study? Okay,
I'm working.
Okay, great. So we're going to talk about two topics today that have been in the news, maybe not world news, but things that people have been writing about, changes. And one of the things is about working life. So if you want to share your opinions, Andrew, please do. Good evening. Is it Killa? Welcome. So yes, please join the conversation, Andrew. And Nitesh, welcome back. Are you there?
Yeah, ma'am.
Welcome. How are you?
I'm good, ma'am. And you?
Good. I'm good. So we are going to look at some things that have been in the news, a few articles, not on maybe news, political news, but different kinds of news. We're going to look at the phenomenon of quiet quitting that people have been talking about maybe a few months ago with the Great Resignation. Has anyone heard this term?
Yeah, I heard this news.
Did you hear about it? What did you read about the Great Resignation?
Yeah, the employee of Twitter company has resigned from their job.
Yeah. And why was this happening? Why were so many people quitting, do you think, or resigning? Why was it called the Great Resignation?
Yeah, it's about the takeover of Twitter by Elon Musk, and he noticed to his employees that we should work more for our company, and they changed some policies, I think.
Yeah, so greater demands. Yeah, Twitter's a great example of it. That happened recently. A Great Resignation at Twitter. So there were more demands. Yes, Shailendra?
Ma'am, the Great Resignation is associated with the post-COVID situation.
Yeah,
Now,
that's true.
yeah, ma'am. Because, ma'am, people now more focused on their health, their well-being, and then they don't want to spend their entire life working in the office or for a company. Now they want to realize their dreams, their passions. They want to travel the world. They want experiential life, ma'am. So that's why they are resigning, and with their savings they are living experiential life.
Yeah, that's true. So after pandemic, people had different priorities, different things they thought were important. That's a great summary, Shailendra. Thank you. Yeah. So according to some economists, a lot of people resigned or left their jobs and tried to do different things. Many people went back to work into different roles. Did anyone hear about this? That after the pandemic, a lot of people resigned when bosses wanted them to stop working from home, go back to the office. Did anyone experience this? Did anyone maybe do this? Did anyone think, I don't want to go back to the office after working from home for so long? Did anyone, or maybe you know friends who did this? So if you know about this, if you have some experience, share your experience. Yes, Shailendra?
Ma'am, last Sunday, ma'am, I read one article in the newspaper. Ma'am, in that article, ma'am, they shared the stories of three persons that these persons quit their jobs, good jobs, and they started to live life like a nomadic person. They, yeah, they go and they visit places and they work there. They do menial jobs like waiter job, or helping persons in daily chores. So by this way they are also this is also good for the environment also, because they are not living in hotels, and they also living experiential life. Every day there is a new thing. They are not splurging or splurging money on their travel. They go and they earn and then they live. So this is the, I think this is the example which is well suited with this situation, ma'am.
Yeah, that's a great example, Shailendra. And did they mention how long they had been living this nomadic lifestyle for?
Ma'am, I think the story was about two men and one woman, and they have been living this type of lifestyle for around 2 years. Yeah.
Okay, so they definitely were happy with it. They didn't try it out and think they wanted to go
Yeah.
back to life as it was before.
And ma'am,
Very
along with this, they work as a blogger. They write on internet so that they can earn money.
okay, very interesting. So this is something that I guess a lot of people maybe want to do, but never really do. Does anyone want to live a life where they're traveling a lot? There are often lots of articles written about people wanting to travel. How can you spend most of your time traveling? Would anyone like this kind of lifestyle? Going to a new place, finding a job, and then moving on. Does this sound like it's fun for anyone? Shailendra, do you think this would appeal to you?
Yes, ma'am. I also want to experience this type of life. Not for ma'am entire life, but at least we should try this. Ma'am, there are lots of things in this world that we don't try. And ma'am, one day, ma'am, we will die. We know one day we all will die. So ma'am, why can't we experience this type of lifestyle at least for 1 year?
Yeah, very true. Yes, my friend did that recently. He quit his job and has decided to travel a bit. And he also said he did it because he didn't want lots of time to go by and he didn't do the things he wanted to do. So these are recent trends, we can say, that are happening in the world of work, trends in work life. So the Great Resignation was something that happened quite recently. Can anyone think of anything else that they have heard of that is happening in work?
Yes, ma'am. Moonlighting.
Moonlighting, yeah. Can you explain what that is for people who don't know?
Moonlighting means, ma'am, taking up another job with your regular job.
Yeah, and why do you think it's happening more recently?
Because of ma'am, work from home phenomena. People now can work for another company at their comfort place without informing their regular company, without informing their how to say this, without informing their company.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, without informing, without telling, or without letting them know. Yeah, that is more common. Maybe also rising costs. That has been something happening. Many people have had to take on other jobs. I've read stories of people sort of taking on extra work because they have to. So different reasons, different trends happening. So we're going to focus on...
It is very common in IT industry.
Yeah. Do you think that work from home has made it easier?
Yes, ma'am. It has made very easier for IT professionals to work for two companies.
Okay. And what about things like burnout?
Burnout, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
When you're exhausted, does this happen?
Yeah. When you work a lot more than your capacity.
Yeah, exhaustion from overwork. Does this happen if people are moonlighting, taking on extra work?
Yes, ma'am. That's why, ma'am, so many companies have banned moonlighting, and just not, ma'am, not just this is not the just only factor before in banning. The companies also don't want to share their information because of moonlighting. There is a probability that these employees, they might transfer the confidential information of their company to the another company.
Yeah, very true. Shailendra, you brought in some great words and ideas. The idea of moonlighting, the fact that people want experiential lifestyles, they want to live things, they want to experience things. So some really great ideas. I'm going to bring up another phenomenon that has happened recently, or that people have been writing about, that they've noticed with trends, and that's quiet quitting. So we're going to read some articles related to that and think about why that's happening, maybe now after the pandemic, after lots of people resigned, and what trends you can notice or you've been noticing in work life. So we're going to focus on that for today. But if anyone does have any other thing that they want to bring up with or talk about to do with work life or any other topic, please do. So if anyone has any questions about some of the phrases, we're going to pick up and think about a lot of phrases in the article. Manisha, welcome. Do you have a question or something you want to add?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. How are you, Manisha?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Good. So have you heard any of these phrases before? The Great Resignation, or the idea of moonlighting? Mm-hmm.
I think people quit their job because means there are many reasons behind it, and people quit their job because for job security. If people don't get any job security, they quit their job, and we see it happens in a private sector. And next, I think for salary also, if people don't get enough salary, because we know nowadays everything is becoming expensive, and we should have a lot of money. So people, if don't get enough salary, they quit their job. And most important thing, I think people want to do job in their means in which they are interested. So that's why they are means they are quitting their job.
Yeah, those are fantastic points. Maybe they want to sort of upgrade, improve the salary that they're getting, and enjoy their jobs more. Do you think the pandemic made people want to have a job that was more enjoyable? Did it make them less likely to want to spend time doing something they didn't enjoy? Do you think the pandemic was part of that? Shailendra mentioned new priorities. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, ma'am.
Why do you think the pandemic had such a big effect on what people thought was important in life?
Because during pandemic period, people got to know, means anything can happen anytime.
Yeah, not to wait around. That's very good. Yeah, very good point, Manisha. Very well explained.
Uncertainty of life, ma'am.
Yeah, exactly. The uncertainty. Yeah, if you wait around thinking things are going to be stable or safe, or you know what to expect, and then something very unexpected happens, does make you realize that there's not a lot of time in life. Things can go a completely unexpected way.
So, ma'am, ma'am, on this, taking notice of this point, ma'am, you should visit India, ma'am, as soon as possible.
Yes, I still want to travel. Yes, definitely. I have to figure out a lot first before I start traveling again. But yes, at some point. So we've thought about. Manisha?
Where are you from?
Well, I'm from England, but now I'm in South Africa. So I haven't been back to England for a while because of the pandemic.
Okay.
Eden, ma'am, is an international citizen.
Yeah. So one of the trends that I thought was quite interesting, that is linked to the idea of the Great Resignation. A lot of people decided to quit their jobs, to resign. So resign and quit are synonyms. But some people went the other way. Some people decided to quiet quit. So we're going to find out what that means. They didn't completely resign if they didn't enjoy their job. And this also links to the lying flat movement in China. I don't know if anyone's heard of that, but we're going to think about that a little bit as well. lying flat movements.
Ma'am, there is one more term that is taking rounds in world economics. That is shrinkflation.
Shrinkflation.
Yeah.
I'm kind of heard of it, but I'm not 100% sure. So you're gonna have to explain to me too what that means.
Ma'am, it means, ma'am, the price for the product is same, but they have reduced the amount. The company has reduced the amount.
That's true. Yeah. In fact, I have a Coke bottle here. I don't know if the Coke is the same, but it used to be 330 milliliters, but now it's a very small bottle. So they've reduced the bottle size, but the price is the same. So that's an example of shrinkflation. I bought it and I thought it's like a mini Coke bottle. So they reduced 30 milliliters from it. Yeah, but so that's also very true.
But ma'am, you should not drink, ma'am, Coke, ma'am. It is full of sugar.
I know, it's very bad. I know, I'm only drinking occasionally. Okay, so we're going to read some extracts of news articles and then we're going to think about the phrases. But does anyone have any stories or questions at this point? Manisha and Shailendra and Nitesh brought up some great examples. Nitesh mentioned Twitter. Lots of people resigned from Twitter. Shailendra mentioned changing priorities. Manisha did too. Yeah, Manisha, do you have something else that you want to add before we read? Your hand is still up?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And Shanti, you can join us in the Zoom room. So would anyone like to read the first part of the article?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, please read, Manisha.
News, quite quitting. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Work has been quietly spreading around offices, factories, and workplaces worldwide. Workers are increasingly embracing the concept of quiet quitting. This emerging phenomenon entails workers slowly abandoning doing things that are not part of their contract. The website entrepreneur.com defines quiet quitting as follows. Quiet quitting is the process of coming to work to achieve the minimum requirements of your role in the time that you are there, then leaving. No offers of overtime, no stepping outside your designated obligations, no going to extra mile. It's the silent withdrawal of extra labor to mitigate what are perceived as unreasonable pressures.
Yeah, well done. Very good reading, Manisha. So there's lots of difficult vocabulary that we're going to think about. So do we understand what is quiet quitting? What is it? Shailendra, yeah?
Ma'am, before this, ma'am, check the first word of this paragraph. Is it work or word?
Is it word? Sorry, it should have been word. I mistyped it. You're right. Well spotted. Because I'm so tired today. I can still hear the music in my head. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So well done, Shailendra. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. So ma'am, I have understood this concept. Quiet quitting means, ma'am, slowly and gradually, do not work, do not accept extra work, and try to complete only the work that you are assigned.
Yeah.
And don't work extra hours and leaving office at time. Okay, so all these things puts lots of pressure on your mental health and your physical health. So gradually and slowly removing all these pressures, it is called quiet quitting.
Yeah, fantastic summary, Shailendra. Well done. Exactly. So people, like you said, prioritize mental health. It's more important. So doing less things at work that are unnecessary. We talk about going the extra mile. Has anyone heard this idiom before? Going the extra. What does it mean, Shailendra?
Going extra means ma'am, taking extra efforts. Let's say I want a salary hike or I want a promotion. So I am working very hard. I am working on different types of different types of projects. Okay,
Mm.
so working very hard and taking lots of effort. This is called extra mile.
Yeah, fantastic. It's doing what's not asked of you, doing more than is expected. We talk about taking the initiative, doing things that people don't always ask you to do. So putting in a lot of extra effort, a lot of extra time. So that used to be maybe things people were advised to do with work, but this quiet quitting is kind of the opposite. Don't do more than you need to do. Has anyone heard this phrase before, or they can think of examples? Maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a news story where quiet quitting has happened. Yes, Shailendra?
Ma'am, I am the best example of quiet quitting, ma'am. Because because ma'am, after 5:30, I after my working hours, I rarely stay in my office, because ma'am, I have lot in my life to do outside my working hours. I go for cycling, running, and I enjoy learning English and different skills. So ma'am, I like to be uh, I like to work only for particular working hours, not extra hours. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a healthy balance. People talk about getting the balance of life. That sounds like a healthy balance.
Yeah.
What does anyone else think about this? Do you like this idea? Do you think it's maybe not the right thing to do? Do we have any opinions? What do you think about quiet quitting? Is it a healthy balance? Is it going to affect your career? Anyone have any opinions? Does anyone have any questions? What
Hello,
is
miss.
quiet quitting? Hi, Andrew.
Even I do quiet quitting.
Yes, what do you...
Most of the people in our firm also do the same thing.
Okay, so it's common.
Yeah, ma'am.
Is the idea, is that because of the pandemic? Or
No.
is it... okay, so is
Even
it
if
because
we-
people...
Even if we do a lot of work, we won't get that much return.
Okay,
Efforts will
so
go
it's
in vain.
unnecessary.
Yeah. Efforts will go in vain if we make a minor mistake. So we have to do only the minimal work and just go with the flow.
Okay, so maybe this isn't just because of the pandemic. Do you think people have always done this?
I think so. Even
Yeah.
before the pandemic situation, people have been doing the same thing, quiet quitting.
Okay. Do we think the pandemic maybe increased
Yeah,
this?
definitely.
Why?
Because people got used to be working at home. So they became a bit lazy and all.
Okay, I like those ideas. Yes, Shailendra, your hands up. What do you think?
Ma'am, this quiet quitting is very common and prevalent in government sector, because they in government sector employees have a fixed salary, and because of that they don't want to go for extra mile. They don't want to take up extra projects, because they will get fixed salary. There is no out of box promotions and perks and allowances in government sector. That's why.
That's a very good point. So do you think certain industries or professions are more likely to have workers who are quietly quitting? What do you think? You mentioned government workers. A good example of the opposite I can think of is the financial sector. I know, especially in New York, interns are encouraged to work extra hours, sometimes through the night. And there have been cases of interns dying from exhaustion. So this is kind of the opposite culture of that.
Ma'am, it is also prevalent in Japan. Japan, ma'am, people are obsessed with ma'am, long working hours, working long hours in office.
That's very true. Yeah. So
And there is a term also when a person die because of long working hours in Japan.
there's a phrase for it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's very
I can't
sad.
recall, but ma'am, there is a phrase.
Okay. So there's examples of the quiet quitting culture, but maybe also the opposite extreme. There's not a specific name for it, but sort of extremely hard working people who go the extra mile. Maybe it's not always for their benefit. Okay, so there's the second part of the article. Would anyone like to read? Okay, Shalendra, please can you read?
Okay. Quiet quitting has increased in popularity since the coronavirus pandemic. People are reassessing their attitudes towards work. They have decided to achieve a more fulfilling work-life balance and focus on avoiding job burnout. Workers are jettisoning
Jettisoning.
unpaid jettisoning
Jettisoning.
jettisoning unpaid duties they once voluntarily carried out in their workplace. They do the bare minimum and leave at 5 on the dot. Some employers are responding with what is being termed as quit, quiet firing. This is when bosses try to get employees to leave. They do this by not raising salaries, disregarding employees' ideas, and omitting them from meetings. A LinkedIn poll found that 48% of employees in a survey have seen quiet firing in the workplace.
So another new term, that quiet firing. Has anyone seen examples of this? Or maybe it's hard to tell which comes first, the quiet quitting, the quiet firing, chicken and egg situation. There are lots of difficult words here. We're going to think about what these words mean soon.
Ma'am, can we connect the mass layoff in Twitter and Facebook with the quiet firing?
Yeah, well, I think that the in Twitter, they didn't want people to leave. They needed the people, but when they fired them directly, they wanted to reduce the workforce, and then they wanted people to stay and just work harder. You could apply it to what's happening in the tech sector at the moment, where they do need to reduce the workforce, perhaps. Yeah, but that's a good news story to bring up, the idea that the tech sector has changed. It used to be the one of growth and employing constantly. Now, for the first time, they're actually trying to get rid of people. So some interesting changes.
Yeah, because of ma'am automation and lots of automation.
Yeah, it's a quick effect.
Now, ma'am, they have robots to write codes, and new technologies are evolving day by day.
Very true. So we're just going to think about what the article was telling us first, and then we'll think about some of the vocabulary involved. So some of these sentences, they might not make sense. It just means that it's a false. So true or false, quick, just to see, did you understand what the article is saying? So the article says workers are embarrassing about a work concept. Are the workers embarrassing? Is that true or false? What do we think? If you want to type your answer in the chat.
False, ma'am.
False, yeah. How could we rephrase the sentence?
The article says workers are quitting extra work.
Yeah. Or they are embracing this concept of quiet quitting. They're embracing has two meanings. It can be a hug or accepting something. So they're not embarrassing, they're embracing, they're taking on the concept. Taking on, accepting it. An embrace can be a hug. So it's like it's something you want. They're They want this concept. They're accepting it. They are using it. So yeah, we can say workers are embracing the concept of quiet quitting. What about number 2? With quiet quitting, workers do only what's in their contract. Is that true?
True.
True. Yeah. Why is that true?
Why?
Because
What is?
because now people now the employees have changed their priorities, and they want work-life balance, so they don't want to spend their entire day in office, so they have shunned these extra work, and they want to live their second half of the day.
Yeah. We can say quiet quitting. How do we define it? It's about doing the minimum. The minimum is what you have to do. So what you have to do is what's in your contract. So we can say the minimum. Gosh, it's affecting my speaking. It's what you have to do. The maximum would be the extra, the most that you have to do, more than you have to do, and the most that you can do. But the minimum is about doing what you have to do. So what's in your contract? So this is the definition of quiet quitting. Any questions about this, or anybody isn't sure about those 2 answers? Okay, let me know if anyone has any questions. Number 3, workers who quiet quit often walk a mile to work.
I think
False.
Why false, Chandra? Why is this not true?
Because ma'am, they don't want to work extra mile.
Yeah.
They just want to work according to their contract.
Exactly. So when we talk about working an extra mile or going the extra mile, it's not really about walking. It means doing more things. So this is an idiom. It's not really about walking. A mile is how long something is, but it's an idiom. So it's not really about walking. It's about doing more. So if somebody does a lot for you, maybe a friend or somebody's very helpful to you, you can say, thank you so much for going the extra mile. Thank you for doing all those things you didn't have to do for me. So it doesn't have to be a phrase we only use about work. It can also be about friendships or something, just something that someone has done for you that you didn't expect or was really nice. Say they went the extra mile. Has this ever happened to anyone, that maybe a friend did more than they expected for them, or was very helpful and it was unexpected? Can you think of a situation where you could use this phrase, going the extra mile? Yes, Shalendra?
Ma'am, in offices, ma'am, like in my office, people go extra mile to get good raise, promotion. So yeah, ma'am, this is the example of extra mile I have seen.
Okay. Doing more work than they need to do.
Yeah, ma'am. And ma'am, we can also use this idiom in relationship when you want to pursue your love, then you go extra mile to bring them in your life.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. If you're pursuing someone, you can say you go the extra mile, do a lot for them. Fantastic. Okay. The next one. A website said quiet quitting means workers silently withdraw labor.
True.
True.
True. Yeah. What does it mean, withdrawing something?
Withdraw means, ma'am, not to allow themselves to work, not to. Yeah.
Take away something. They're taking away their labor. What's another word for labor that we could use? That we've used a lot.
Work.
Work. Yeah, well done. It's work. So they're taking away their work and they're doing it silently. That's why it's quiet. They're quietly quitting. Fantastic. Okay, so that is true. What about the next one? The coronavirus pandemic increased the popularity of quiet quitting.
True.
Yeah,
True. Yeah, well done. The article said it's true. And we find in the article where it tells us that. So if you are in the Zoom room, you can highlight. You should be able to draw if you've joined from the Zoom room. Is anyone able to draw? Or you can tell me, where does it tell us that the pandemic increased quiet quitting? Is there a line that anyone can see? Yeah, well done, Andrew, exactly. And where's the reason why? Where does it tell us why people have been quiet quitting since the pandemic? What is the cause? Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, well done, Shalendra. So we have the reason here. Just like you said, Shalendra, at the beginning of the class, that people are thinking about their priorities, or another way to say that is reassessing their attitudes. What is important? Fantastic. Okay. Let's try another question. Number 7, workers who are quiet quitting. 6, people want a more fulfilling work-life balance.
True.
True. Yeah, we saw that's the reason why it's increased. Well done. Workers who are quiet quitting leave work at 5 on the dot.
True.
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 They're not going the extra mile. Number 8, most workers have seen examples of quiet firing in the workplace.
True.
True. Yeah, well done. Did we see where it says this in the article about quiet firing? Where does it tell us that most workers?
This is when boss tried to get employees to leave. They do this by not raising salaries, disregarding employees' ideas, and omitting them from meetings.
What about the percentage? We could
48%.
48%.
Yeah, 48%. We can say, okay, 48% have seen it. So 52% haven't. So which would be more? You could argue that most means the biggest percentage. So that depends on how you want to see that question. But we can say a lot of employees have seen quiet quitting, but most have not seen it. Okay, well done. Any questions about this? So Farhan says basically, is everyone from India? There are lots of people from India. There are also people from other countries. Let us know where you're joining from. Okay, so we had lots of very difficult words in the article. Here are some of them. So just to start, we'll think a little bit more about what they mean, but to start thinking about the meaning, the synonyms is a good way. Maybe you know the synonyms. So here were the ones from the article, and here we have some other meanings. So if you're in the Zoom room again, you can draw. I know Andrew and Shalendra know how to draw. If you're in the chat, you can write 1A or 2B, you can match. So I'll give you all time to think about it. Yeah, in this case, spreading does mean growing. It wouldn't always work, but in this situation, yes. You can say, Nitesh, if you want to write it in the chat, or you can just say, Nitesh, what do you think? Do you agree with what people have written so far? Nitesh, is there anything you disagree with?
No, ma'am.
Okay. There's some right ones. There's also some wrong ones. So if anyone maybe disagrees and can see one that they think is maybe not right, you can say, I want to give some people in the chat the chance. In the chat, you can write your answers. Also think about the kind of word it is. So if it's a noun on the left, then it has to be a noun on the right. Does anyone in the chat think they know? Okay, I think we've done all of them apart from number 6. What do we think attitudes is? Can we do this one together? Attitudes to something. It's kind of like your opinions on things.
Attitude, views.
Pardon?
Views.
Yeah, views. So we have perceived to views, but views is a noun, attitudes is a noun, but in this case, we're using perceived like a verb. They perceived this, they did this. So we can actually move that and swap it. Oh, sorry. There we go. So that one we can say is right. What about spreading and growing? Do we agree with this? Does anyone disagree? This one? Yeah, that one's right.
Correct.
Yeah, it is correct. Well done. What about embracing and recognized?
Yeah, ma'am, correct.
Welcoming.
Yeah, well
Yes.
done. Did you say welcoming, Andrew? I think that
Yeah.
was you. Yeah, you're correct. Welcoming something, if we embrace it, we welcome it, we want it. So we can get rid of this one, and embracing can go to welcoming. Done. What about phenomenon? So
Happening.
again, we're looking.
Happening.
Yeah, yeah, it's something that is happening. It is a phenomenon. It's happening. Yeah, well done. What about designated?
Nominated.
Nominated.
Ma'am.
Does anyone disagree with this?
No.
No, it is right. Designated, nominated. What about perceived?
Recognized.
Yeah, well done, Andrew. Very good. Recognized. Yeah, you perceive something, you recognize it, you're seeing it, or you're understanding it. Perceive can mean both those things, but in this case, they're recognizing it, they're acknowledging it. What about fulfilling? Do we
Satisfying.
all agree? Yeah,
Fulfilling,
does anyone
satisfying, ma'am.
disagree?
Satisfying.
No.
Yeah, fantastic. It's right. So you all agree. You're right. Jettisoning.
Ditching.
Reaching.
Do we think this is right? Does
Okay.
anyone disagree? Yeah, you're right. That was actually one of the more difficult ones, but I think that was one of the ones you did pretty soon. Responding.
Replying. It is okay.
Replying.
Yeah, does anyone think this is disagree? Yeah, you're right. Responding, replying. And omitting. So it's the last one. So you were right.
Excluding.
Fantastic.
Excluding.
Yeah, well done. So some very good answers with some really difficult words. Does anyone have any questions on these words?
Ma'am, where does jetsoning word come from?
Where does it come? Oh, I don't know exactly. When you say come from, do you mean the word the origin of the
Origin.
word?
Yeah, ma'am. What is the origin of jetsoning word?
I don't know. I only know the origins of common prefixes, things like that. I couldn't tell you. My dad could probably tell you. He's very good with those things. I'm not exactly sure the origin. I'd have to look it up.
Miss, I think
But
it's
ma'am,
come from marine field.
Comes from?
Marine field. Marine.
Marine. Ma'am, Navy, marine.
Ship.
Navy. Ship.
Oh, ship. Oh, sorry. I thought you were saying a language that it comes from. Ah, okay. Yes. I think, yeah, it probably does have sort of a physical meaning. You can use it in more than one way, but
Jet
sort of
plane?
the language of the, pardon?
Jet plane.
Ah, not quite. But it's a very good question. I'll look it up. It's interesting. It's a good question. Where is the origin of that word, to jettison? It's an unusual kind of English word. That's a great question.
But ma'am, these days I have been watching web series The Crown, and ma'am, there are lots of word. Ma'am, there are lots of heavy word. Ma'am, even for ma'am, I can't watch it continuously for 5 minutes. I have to stop it. I have to search the word, and then I continue with the watching.
Yeah, and that is the thing with all languages. When you're learning a language, sometimes things become very old-fashioned. I think I already told you the story. I borrowed my friend's French book that he had from the 80s the 90s in school. And already when I showed it to my French teacher, there were phrases that were old-fashioned. So I think all languages move very fast and change. So they're writing language that would have been used in the 50s, or I think now they're up to the 60s. I don't know what season you're on.
Season one.
Season one. Okay, yeah. So it's already in the 50s, 40s even.
Ma'am, at the time of coronation of Queen Elizabeth.
Okay, so it's a long time ago, and it's words that we wouldn't use day to day. So the writers are having to think about adding words that are old-fashioned to make it sound real in some way.
Ma'am, have you watched this web series?
The Crown?
Yeah.
I've seen, I think, the first season and a half.
Okay.
I haven't finished it all. But yeah, it's very interesting. Okay, so some fantastic work. Does anyone have any questions about the words that we looked at? Okay. So let's just think of a few questions about what we read. So there's some words at the bottom of the screen that maybe you want to use or think about, this idea of a phenomenon, something happening, an event. I mentioned the idea of burnout before. Maybe that's why people are quiet quitting, why they're doing the bare minimum. So see if you can use some of these phrases or any of the new phrases that we looked at. So I'd like to hear your experiences. You can answer any of these questions. So there are lots. If there are any questions that you have experience of or you want to share in the last 5 minutes. So what are your experiences of workplaces? Have you ever quit a job? What is your idea of a good work culture? So what do you like about work? Do you like if there is the expectation to have a good life balance? Some works want you to exercise, do charity, have life outside of work. What do you think of the concept of quiet quitting? A few of you already mentioned, Shailendra, Manisha, but do you have more ideas now that we've thought about it a bit more? Or do you have other experiences you want to share? Should workers only do things that are in their contract? Should we be expected to do more than what's in our contract? What do you think of working overtime? So does anyone have anything they want to share? Yeah, Shailendra, do you want to answer any of these questions?
Yeah, ma'am. What do you think of working overtime? Ma'am, I hate this word, working overtime. Because ma'am, I am a competent employee. I can complete all the tasks within the 8 hours of my daily routine. And ma'am, if it is necessary, then I am ready to work extra time. But ma'am, I have seen some employees in my office, they deliberately stay overtime just to show their bosses. And they expect other people also to stay overtime without any reason. So ma'am, I don't like working overtime, ma'am, but still ma'am, there is a disclaimer that when the work is very important, when company needs my services, then I'm ready to work overtime. But ma'am, not every day. I don't want to stay every day after my working hours, because ma'am, I have a lot in my life other than my office only.
That's a very good point, Chandra. Yeah, if it needs to be done, then an occasional extra work. But I think we mentioned this before about the 4-day work week. Has anyone seen that? Study said that workers were more productive with a 4-day work week.
Yeah, ma'am.
So
I think, ma'am, this concept they are applying in Norway.
Am
I right?
So yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, definitely one of the Scandinavian countries. So if people are going to overwork every day, they're going to burn out, and then eventually it will affect work quality, happiness, how fulfilled they are in their job. What do we think? Does anyone have any other ideas? Does anyone disagree, or what do we think? Does anyone not like this idea of quiet quitting? Maybe you don't like the name. Maybe it's something that had been around a lot before the pandemic, but suddenly people have given it this name. Does anyone have any experiences they want to share?
Yes.
Andrew, yeah?
We had 5-day week work before this. Later they changed to 4-day week work to increase the productivity.
Yeah. In some countries, they tried it at some workplaces to see if productivity would stay the same, get less, or increase. And for most people, I think their productivity improved. What do you think? Do you like the idea of a 4-day work week, Andrew? Do you think that would be good?
Yeah, ma'am, that will be good.
Would that replace the need for quiet quitting, or is it the same, or is it just works recognizing work-life balance? What do you think? Oram says H. What unreasonable pressures have you ever felt in the workplace? Yeah. Iram, do you have some stories about this? I think it's very common that people feel maybe pressured to do more time. I have a friend she actually resigned and then they asked her back. But they had lots of unreasonable, wanting her to work through the night on projects, things like that. So lots of unreasonable pressures. So has this ever happened to anyone? Yes, Shendra?
Ma'am, second one, ma'am. Have you ever quit a job? Yes, ma'am. I quit my first job. I got this job just after my graduation through campus placement. But
the bare minimum, so just the minimum, nothing more than the minimum. Well done, fantastic, very good. So this shows that you understand the new vocabulary if you're able to use it in phrases. So fantastic, well done everyone. So I've got to go. I have another lesson, but I hope you all have a fantastic evening or rest of the day if it's morning for you. I'll be back next Thursday. So I hope if you're working that it's an enjoyable experience. And if anyone has any questions, I'll be back on Thursday. So thank you so much for joining, Nitesh, Anju, Shailendra, Bidya Sagam, Anisha, Shashikant. I think you joined later, but thank you for joining. And I'll be back next Thursday. Bye, everyone.